Laugh at the cringe, learn from the crumble. This is Cringe and Crumble. Welcome to the podcast where honesty meets humor and the messy parts of life finally get their spotlight. I'm your host, Tranisha, and here we dive into dating, friendships, healing, and all the awkward in-betweens. Because here's the truth. Growth isn't always pretty, but it's always real. So let's get into it. Okay, real question. Are you investing your time or spending it? Because I had this moment where I realized that I'm not tired because I'm doing so much, but I'm tired because I'm doing too much of what doesn't give back to me. It's like I'm clocking in these hours and the compounding return is anxiety and irritation. And then I'm confused as to why I don't feel grounded. But then I realize it's not life being hard to me, but more so me paying hidden interest charges on the wrong things. Now, if that line hit you, don't worry about it because we're not going to be judging each other today. We're going to be doing like a little check-in with each other, more so like a reset. So today is a reset episode entitled, Are You Investing Your Time or Spending It? And I'm going to explain to you using financial terms because once you see time like money, you'll stop donating it to things that don't grow you. And by the end of the episode, you're going to know exactly what you've been overspending on and what to change this week. So welcome back to Cringe and Crumble. I'm your host, Tranisha. We're going to dive right into it. So I was meditating and I heard this quote, an investment in knowledge always pays interest. And it made me realize knowledge isn't the only thing that pays interest. Your habits pay interest, your relationships pay interest, and even your environment pays interest. So in this episode, we're going to talk about time like it's currency and break down the differences between spending time and investing time. And then we're going to name the 3 hidden interest charges that drain you. And then, in the end, I'm going to finally give you a simple system you can use immediately as a small reset for yourself in the form of an audit, reallocation, and logs. Because what I realize is that growth isn't about a vibe, it's more sort of a plan. And this isn't about doing more, but about getting a better return. Okay, so if time is currency, we have to get honest with ourselves about what we're doing with it. Some of us are spending time the way that people spend money when they don't want to look at their bank statements after a long weekend in Miami. We're sitting here, we're just swiping. There's no thoughts. We're not checking our balance. But then all of a sudden we check our life and we're like, why are we so depleted? That's spending. Spending time is when you give your hours away and the return is basically nothing. You feel more behind, you feel more scattered, even overstimulated. But investing time is when you give your hours away and something compounds. Even if it's small, it builds in the form of like a skill, clarity, a sense of peace. And here's what people seem to miss, though, about investments, is that because everyone hears invest and they think hustle. But investing isn't about doing more, it's about return. So here's the test. If you did the same thing for 30 days straight, would you be richer in peace or richer in stress? Because some of us are treating our attention like it's unlimited, but it's not. You're out here financing habits that don't pay you back. And so with that being said, you need to understand a differentiation between rest and escape. Because rest is not spending. Rest is often an investment. Rest is a deposit in your nervous system. So when you wake up with interest, you are much calmer, you're clearer, you're softer. But escape is like taking out a loan. It feels good now, but later you're going to be paying interest and anxiety. So the question isn't, did I relax? The question is, did the thing refill me or did it numb me? And here's how you can tell. After spending time, you feel like you need to recover. And then after investing time, you feel like you can return to your life with more capacity. And that's how you know time isn't just a schedule problem, it's a return problem. Now let's take it a level deeper because time isn't just about money. Time also has emotional ROI. So emotional return on investment. So ROI is what you get back. Financially, it means profit, and emotionally, it's peace. So let's say, for instance, you had fun, but why do you feel anxious afterwards? Or you talked to the guy that you really liked, but why do you feel confused and on edge? And you showed up for a friend, but why do you feel resentful? So that's all emotional ROI. Your body's telling you the truth before your pride does. because you don't just pay with hours, you're paid with peace and even self-trust in your energy. So when the return is stress, you're basically financing your own burnout. And I want you to say this gently. You can't keep calling something love if it keeps leaving you dysregulated. And you can't keep calling something friendship if it keeps requiring you to abandon yourself. So here's a line I want you to really live by. Decide the goal and make your environment agree, which means that if your goal is growth, your environment can't be set up for distraction. If your goal is peace, your routines can't be set up with panic. And if your goal is healthy love, your standards can't be negotiable when you're lonely, because your environment is basically that automatic payment system for your habits. In other words, the interest rate on your life. So now that we've got that framework, I want to start naming what's really been charging you. The 3 hidden interest charges that looks normal until you check in. So let's start off with one that racks up the fastest, which is inconsistency. I like to think about it as inconsistency in dating. This is when you keep investing time and attention and access and vulnerability, but the return is uncertainty. And uncertainty is expensive because your brain starts trying to solve it. Your nervous system starts scanning and you start living in that maybe. So the question isn't, do I like them? The question is, what's the emotional return? And are you getting clarity and consistency and even any type of emotional safety for this person? Or are you getting a storyline that keeps you waiting? And when your nervous system is already activated from that kind of uncertainty, the next charge gets even louder. The second hidden charge is dysregulation, which is living in a constant state of noise. If your nervous system is fried, you're going to spend time coping instead of investing in your life. You don't have bandwidth. You're not making choices, you're managing symptoms. Do you think about the scrolling that you do every day or the constant updates and urgency? In the news, for instance, being informed matters, but being immersed all day, that's not awareness. It's more of a stress conditioning. So if your mornings start off with doom scrolling and your nights end with headlines and your breaks are just more noise, that's a hidden charge. And here's what investing looks like. Let's say you have a news window, 1 or 2 check-ins a day within that news window. There's no news in bed. You start trading your panic for a plan and one thing you can control today. Because if you can't change the headline, don't let it collect rent in your nervous systems. And when your nervous system is already tight, you know what usually shows up next. The third hidden charge is people pleasing, especially in friendships. It's when your yes is automatic, even when your body is trying to tell you no. When you're overgiving or avoid conflict. It's when your yes is automatic, even when your body is saying no. When you're overgiving to avoid conflict, and when you're paying in time and money and emotional labor just to keep a relationship stable. And here's how it shows up in real life. The little ways you're abandoning yourself. Let's say you agree to things you don't enjoy. You split costs when you didn't choose to. And you stay quiet when something feels unfair. And you tell yourself it's not that deep. But it is deep because it teaches people that you'll tolerate. So the quick question is for yourself is, are you investing in friendship or paying interest on being the strong friend? Because they're banking on you staying quiet to keep the vibe going. But if you keep paying for peace, you will be broke in self-respect. So listen, some people don't want a friend. They just want convenience in that support system, almost like a second relationship. And if that relationship requires you to shrink or overextend yourself, that's a negative emotional ROI. So you can't keep paying interest on disrespect and call it loyalty. But now let's stop naming it and start fixing it. So now that we've named the charges, we can build a system that protects your time and your peace. It's not perfection, but it's something that we can work toward every day. So the system is an audit, reallocate, and lock. So step 1 is an audit. So let's just basically observe your time. We're going to do like a check-in with yourself. So we're going to create what we like to have 4 categories where we're going to actually be observing our time in. It's either going to be in the bucket of growth, maintenance, connection, or numbing. When I say growth, let's think about growth as learning or therapy or even exercise. Maintenance is more so like work or errands or think about life admin. And connections is more so about your community, your dating life, your friendships. And numbing is like scrolling or TV or anything, gossip loops. So each night, I want you to ask yourself, what did I spend the most on today, time-wise? This isn't to judge yourself. It's to stop being confused about why you feel depleted. So then step 2, we're going to reallocate. As I like to say, we're going to shift to one category. So after let's say a week or so, choose one hidden interest charge you want to reduce. Just one. Let's say, for instance, if it's dating, let's reduce investment in uncertainty. If it's dysregulation, let's create a routine that protects your nervous system. And if it's people-pleasing, let's practice one boundary that keeps you honest. Because these small deposits are still deposits and they still compound. Now for step 3, which is our lock, we're going to make our environment agree. So locks are more gentle structures. They remove the need to renegotiate with yourself every day. So for instance, a phone lock is we're setting boundaries that protect your attention. So time limits on apps or screen times or for bed. Relationships locks are boundaries that protect your heart. So you need to have clarity before access, consistency before intimacy. That's a big one. And calendar lock, which is one scheduled block that serves your future self. Because the version of you want doesn't require willpower. So here's what I want you to remember about this episode. Time is currency, but your peace is priceless. And if the emotional ROI is anxiety or confusion or even resentment, it's too expensive. Make your environment agree with the life that you say you want. You don't need to do more. You just need to invest smarter. Laugh at the cringe, learn from the crumble. This is Cringe and Crumble. Until next time.